Hello everyone. An explosive affidavit that turned the state capture narrative on its head never made it to the final report of the State Capture Commission of Inquiry or was even considered by Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. The damning contents may explain why Iqbal Sharma, widely regarded as Gupta lieutenant, never appeared before the State Capture Commission of Inquiry. No findings were made against him either. The Commission's leader investigator had received the almost 1,000-page affidavit with the concrete evidence attached. However, none of Zondo Commission reports covered the document. The document implicates President Cyril Ramaphosa, Thuli Madonsela, Maria Ramos, and Transnet board members from 2006 to 2007, Trevor Manuel, Pravin Gordhan, Joel Marcus, Moria Moses, Mafika Mkwanazi, the late Don Mkwanazi, and SA Shipyards, Doris Sepe, Brian Joffe, and the 2006 to 2007 Bidvest Board, Sai Brian Pretorius, Pradeep Maharaj, and Chris Wells. The document has since landed in the public domain as part of the Sharma's defense of fraud charges in the Bloemfontein High Court. As Sharma alleged, Transnet favored one company to win tenders. Bidvest and Transnet may have committed fraud, and Transnet and the Public Protector's Office conspired to squash and not implement the forensic report initiated by Madonsela. He was Transnet's director from the December 2010 to October 2014. He served on the Board Acquisitions and Disposals Committee (BADC) and the Corporate Governance Committee. In August 2012, he became head of the BADC. Sharma told the Zondo Commission that in the course of my work as a director, my colleagues and I came across certain matters of impropriety and malfeasance that needed further investigation. We also came across matters which could be loosely described as cover-ups. Sharma also covered 3 Transnet transactions in his affidavit, namely tugboat tender, Viamex disposal, and the Public Protector, or KPMG investigation. He said, though I was invited, then ignored in respect of having an opportunity to support the Commission in its efforts, I stand ready, willing and able to assist with my disclosures about my time at Transnet. Sharma said that Transnet sold assets to Bidvest for 1 billion rands and purchased the same services back from Bidvest for 2.5 billion rands. The 2007 transaction involved Transnet's disposal of an entity called Viamex to Bidvest, at the time chaired by Ramaphosa. Viamex managed Transnet's fleet of vehicles. The deal signed under Ramos was announced in March 2007. It later turned out that Bidvest had also secured the exclusive right to manage Transnet's fleet for 5 years as part of the agreement. According to Sharma, the additional sweetener was never put to tender or offered to other bidders during disposal. He said the Transnet circumvented the Public Finance Management Act by giving the appearance that Viamex ceded the fleet services management contract to Bidvest as part of the share acquisition. He said, a disposal is a single transaction and procurement of services is a separate and distinctly different transaction within organs of state. Bidvest managed to get a 5-year contract that had never been tendered and potentially locked them in up for 12 years. This necessitated a further investigation as to how Transnet could be so prejudiced. Both agreements were signed on the same day in July 2007. Sharma added that in 2011, Transnet executives presented a set of contracts to the BADC that will expire in 2012 and had to be tendered. There was a new tender for fleet services worth around 3 billion rands. Information that only a small portion of the total budgeted spend could be tendered as the incumbent was locked in did not manage to sense to him, and he started asking more questions. According to the minutes of the BADC meeting dated 26 January 2012, held at the Carlton Center in Johannesburg, it was recommended that a forensic investigation into the Viamex disposal process be sought. The Transnet management informed the committee that an update will be presented. This eventually took place during another meeting on 31st January 2012 at the Sante Winelands Hotel in French Hoek in the Western Cape. The records of the meeting showed that BADC agreed that a steering committee is established to deliberate on the reverse terms of the reference for the forensic investigation. review of the sale of Viamex to Bidvest as a matter of agency. Sharma said that efforts to investigate found a dead end as the appointed committee members failed to meet without explanation. Transnet Internal Audit also claimed in a document dated 31st May 2012 that no documents, correspondence, or emails relating to the transaction could be found. The information is contained in the memorandum to the then GCE Brian Molefe, where Transnet Internal Audit stated that as part of the lessons learned from the Viamex deal, Transnet should ensure that documentation is retained and maintained safely for record keeping and audit trail purposes. Molefe noted that the recommendations, including that the document could be circulated to members of the BADC. It also turned out that the Viamex services deal was signed by Pradeep Maharaj, an HR executive who had mysteriously been delegated authority without Molefe's knowledge. Maharaj signed the contract on behalf of Viamex, and Wells, CFO, signed on behalf of Transnet. Moses was then the chairperson of Viamex. Maharaj and Chris Wells both resigned from Transnet when questions about Viamex started to be raised. This is according to Sharma. He said Maharaj left Transnet and joined Ramos at ABSA before a special position was created for him in 2012 at the Reserve Bank as Chief Operating Officer, and there's no evidence that this position was advertised on a competitive basis. He added that Ramaphosa was a director and chairperson of the Bidvest during the Viamex deal. Other notable board members of Bidvest were Jove Marcus, Advocate Nazir Kasim, and Stephen Kosov. These members should have been well versed in the tender processes of the state. Sharma said that in December 2010, Madonsela received a 2009 complaint by the then chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises, the late Fiji Mento, alleging tender irregularities and abuse of power at Transnet. After the allegations were published in the media, Transnet on 17 September 2009 issued a statement denying the claims and subsequently held a media briefing on 4 December 2009. In January 2012, a forensic report on the matter was completed, containing recommendations, among other things, that charges be laid with the SAPS, yet no action was taken against the people identified in the report. On the contrary, they were allowed to resign and move on to the gainful employment in other organs of the state. And one of the implicated people was Moses. Sharma stated that Madonsela, on her part, also did not act on the report that she had initiated. The Public Prosecutor's Office has no record of any such investigation ever being conducted, which points to a complete scrapping of any communication or evidence related to the investigation and its report by the previous public protector. He said the Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee had also been silent, and Mentor never referred to this either in the testimony to the Commission as one of its very first witnesses. However, he said it was very intriguing that an evidence leader at the Commission, Advocate Anton Maybeck, referred to this very report that neither Madonsela nor Transnet disclosed to the public. Sharma said that at the end of 2010, Transnet chairperson Mafika Mkwanazi appointed Don Mkwanazi to lead the BADC committee. Sharma was then a member of the committee as well as member of the Corporate Governance Committee. Around mid-2011, he said that the committee considered a tender for the tugboats and Don Mkwanazi's company SA Shipyards was a bidder. Though during a meeting of the BADC, Don Mkwanazi recused himself when the matter was being discussed, he did receive the minutes by way of email and again in the pack for the board meeting. After he raised a question about this conflict, the tender was eventually withdrawn as non-award and reissued, making certain board members unhappy. Don was removed from the board around June 2012. The same tender got underway, and in September 2012, SA Shipyards was proposed to the BADC as the winner. But in the document pack provided to all committee members, Sharma picked up a notation from the Transnet Finance Department raising concern about the winning bidder's ability to continue as going concern. It appeared that the company owed Transnet 18 million rands in back rent for a number of years and that Transnet had cancelled the lease. This was an obvious red flag, and I raised it, asking how the company had failed to pay rent for so many years and why had Transnet not acted. Further, how will it be possible for the company to execute the tender if they had no premises? This position was again met with resistance from fellow board members. At a meeting on 22 October 2012, he said the BADC resolved to appoint an external auditor to evaluate whether the bid had been tainted and if SA Shipyards had been favored. However, a committee meeting chaired by Tsepe in November 2012 without the forensic investigation being concluded awarded the bid to SA Shipyards. Sharma said the external forensic investigation was concluded in June 2013, but the findings were never addressed. The report showed that Transnet favored SA Shipyards. In 2019, the Sunday Independent reported that the Public Protector's Office was investigating the disappearance of the records of an investigation which implicated Godan and Ramos. The investigation was conducted by Madonsela, who had investigated alleged tender irregularities and abuse of power at Transnet in 2009. The probe covered claims that the former Transnet chief executive Sabonga Gama was smeared and charged a few days before the cabinet was expected to announce Ramos's replacement. Gama was competing with Godan for the position of Transnet boss before he was charged with the misconduct in 2007. The complaint was lodged by Mentor on December 3, 2009. At the time, former public protector spokesperson Obasa Khwale confirmed that Madonsela's report on the matter could not be found in their system. The Sunday Independent saw evidence that Madonsela did investigate the matter. In a letter dated December 22, 2010, she wrote to then Transnet chairperson Mafika Mkwanazi detailing the complaint her office had received and asked for further information from the organization. Madonsela's office had requested the following from Transnet. All of minutes of board meetings wherein the appointment of the successor to Ms. Maria Ramos as group chief was discussed. All minutes of board meetings where Mr. Gama's disciplinary hearing was discussed. A profile of disciplinary hearings against executives who exceed their financial limits in relation to tenders. Whether the condonation practice referred to in item 5 above exists within Transnet, and a profile of such condonations. Whether there was a current within the employ of Transnet, a person called Sipho Dube who might shed light on an aspect of public protector's investigation. What's your take about this matter, people? Do you believe these allegations or not? Share your views on this one. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more news.